Good evening, good evening. Welcome to another special edition of Pro Wrestling Talk, hosted by yours truly, Blitzball Champ, here on the U to the Tube. So, it is Friday, May the 7th of 2021, and couple of things, actually quite a handful of things to talk about as we get caught up on this week's Pro Wrestling Talk. We're going to talk a little bit of Stardom. Of course, we're going to talk some wrestling Dontaku that took place earlier this week at New Japan Pro Wrestling. We're going to talk some AEW Blood and Guts we just had uh, earlier this week on Wednesday, and of course the WWE talk actually had a really great NXT show, and of course we had the retro SmackDown show that took place about an hour or so ago. So quite a lot wanna go through. So let's just hop right on into it. So uh, just a few things that kind of went down with Stardom. The Goddess of Stardom champions, Shuri and Julia, successfully defended their titles against Momo Watanabe and Azumi. It was a great, hard fought match. And of course, Momo and Azumi, they won last year's Goddess of Stardom Tag League. But when it came down to it, Julia was able to get the Northern Lights bomb on Azumi to retain the titles. And lately, since Julia's new look, she's actually been using the Northern Lights bomb as her finisher. Not really a move that I saw her use back before she got her head shaved after losing the Wonder of Stardom championship to Tam Nakano. Um, but yeah, so lately that's been her finisher lately. So hey, I can dig it. I can definitely dig it. But yeah, overall it was a good match. It was definitely a good match. Um, and then recently, Stardom hosted a four-way tag battle to determine the number one contenders to face Shuri and Julia for the the Goddess of Stardom Tag Team Championships. In that four-way tag battle, it was Oedo Tai's Konami and Natsuko Tora, Stars' Mayu Iwatani and Starlight Kid. We had Aphrodite of Queen's Quest, which is Utami Hayashishita and Saya Kamatani. And we had Tam Nakano and Unagi Sayaka of the Cosmic Angels. Ultimately, when it was all said and done, Starlight Kid and Mayu Iwatani was able to pick up the victory, and they are now the new number one contenders to challenge Shuri and Julia for the Goddess of Stardom Tag Team Championships. And I think it's going to be an excellent match. They've really been booking Mayu and Starlight Kid together pretty strong. I definitely like that team. They have a really tight bond, and I feel like it's one of the main folks that Mayu can still trust. Um, and I know they gave shout outs to Jungle Kiona, Saya Ida, and even Goki Ken Def, who's now Fuki Ken Def, which I don't know why they did that when she's with Oedo Tai now. But hopefully Saya Ida will return ASAP because she's the current future of Stardom champion, and I know Hanan is back as well. But I am not sure when Jungle Kiona. I think it's still gonna be a while. Like she might return, maybe I'm guessing before the end of this year, maybe by the end of this fall. But there's still no telling when Jungle Kiona will return. But I gotta be honest with you. Lately, I've kind of been a little disappointed with Tam Nakano's Wonder of Stardom championship run. Like she hasn't really been defending it much, and it's not like really anybody's stepped up to really challenge her. It's kind of a bummer. It's kind of a bummer. I just feel like I've seen Tam Nakano in more matches where she's teamed up with her Cosmic Angels, you know, defending the Artists of Stardom trios titles, but it hasn't really done anything with the Wonder of Stardom championship. I feel like there's been a lot more eyes on Donna Del Mundo. I mean, just the recent Fukuoka show, Donna Del Mundo pretty much won all of their matches except for one where Himeka was teamed with Lady C. But other than that, they've been winning their matches nonstop. So, I mean, I don't know. I just really feel like Tam Nakano's still kind of taking a back seat despite being a double champion, despite being the Wonder of Stardom champion. I mean, that's supposed to be the next best title next to the World of Stardom championship. You know what I mean? So I just really hope they kind of put a little more spotlight on Tam Nakano and just have her get challenged, have her put the title up because it's been a while. I feel like it's been a while. Um, in a way, kind of the same thing with Natsupoi. You know, I I would like to see some folks challenge for the high speed championship, but if you ask me, I just feel like as far as numbers, the roster's still kind of lacking in numbers. I mean, you don't really have anybody trying to take on Shuri's SWA championship. I mean, I don't even remember the last person she defended it against. It was either Momo Watanabe or Natsupoi, one of the two. But but yeah, she hasn't really defended that title consistently. I mean, it might as well just be a placeholder right now. Because I mean, there's not really much variety of Stardom wrestlers of different diversities and different nationalities. So in a way, the SWA title, in a way, is kind of pointless right now. I mean, unfortunately, and don't get me wrong, I love Shuri, but that SWA title right now is kind of pointless. It's kind of pointless. I mean, the only thing I could see happening with it is she's just gonna keep defending it and winning. Because I mean, there's not really any other potential SWA competitors if a Japanese superstar wins it. You know what I mean? So it's like I don't see how it would work. I don't see how it would work. So that's my only thing with that. But I feel like the high speed title and the Wonder of Stardom title just really hadn't been getting much attention lately. I mean, I understand the future of Stardom title. I mean, because Saya Ida's injured, and they seem to be saving the World of Stardom title defenses for like the big stage shows. But I don't know. I just really would like to see more spotlight on the Wonder and High Speed titles. I just don't feel like that's been happening. But hopefully that'll change soon. And then again, we also have to remember they still got the Cinderella tournament to finish up. So probably something will happen once that's done. So we still got the Cinderella tournament to finish up. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. But that's pretty much it for Stardom. Like I said, not a whole lot I really wanted to talk about. But let's get into some New Japan Pro Wrestling and Pro Wrestling Dontaku 2021. That's right. Took place earlier this week on Monday and Tuesday. So let's kind of recap what happened. So uh, Wrestling Dontaku was at Fukuoka Convention Center, pretty much same as where the recent Stardom shows were happening. But starting out night one, started off with a 8-man tag. It was Master Wato, Tiger Mask, Hiroyoshi Tenzan, and Toru Yano going against Bullet Club's Dick Togo, Taiji Ishimori, Yujiro Takahashi, and Evil. Um, it was an alright match. For an opener, it was an alright match. Um, Taiji Ishimori got the victory for Bullet Club over Tiger Mask. It was kind of a bummer that Tiger Mask had to take that pin, but yeah, I would have thought it would have been Master Wato, but the legendary Tiger Mask had to take that pin. Ooh. But yeah, got hit with a bloody cross. Next up, you had a 6-man tag. Roppongi 3K with Kazuchika Okada taking on Suzuki Gun's Minoru Suzuki, El Desperado, and Yoshinobu Kanemaru. Of course, Kanemaru-san took the pin as Yo got the victory for the team. And Yo's been on fire lately since his return. He's been on fire. He's looking like he's ready for singles action. So we'll have to see if that momentum keeps up. But Yo is looking good. Yo is looking really good. Of course, him and Sho are the current IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Champions. But good stuff. Good stuff. Next up, we had another 8-man tag. We had LIJ's Bushi, Sanada, Tetsuya Naito, Shingo Takagi against all of United Empire, which is Jeff Cobb, Aaron Hanare, Great-O-Khan, Will Ospreay. This was a good match. Definitely a match I enjoyed. Well, of course, I'm always going to enjoy an LIJ match. It is kind of a bummer that Aaron Hanare had to take the pin for this, because, I mean, he just had the gimmick change. He's part of United Empire now. It would be nice to see him kind of, shine, at least for a little while. Being the newest member of United Empire, it would be nice to see him shine quite a bit. Kind of like how when Shingo Takagi joined LIJ, I mean, he shined greatly. I mean, to the point where, the Best of the Super Juniors, he was undefeated until he lost to Will Ospreay. I mean, they were booking Shingo strong when he debuted for LIJ. So I don't know. I'm not saying it had to be that exact level with Aaron Hanare, but it would be nice, being that he's joined, the newest up and coming faction. So I don't know. That's just my thoughts on it. Sonata pinned him, but I don't know. That's just. I hope it doesn't kill Aaron Hanare's momentum, because it wasn't that long ago that he joined United Empire. So I don't know. That's just my thing. But next up we had we had Zack Sabre Jr. versus Tangaloa, where the winner of this match had the right to challenge for the IWGP Tag Team Championships, which is currently held by Guerrillas of Destiny. Zack Sabre Jr., who I predicted was going to win this, did get the victory. This was a decently long match as well. Very much back and forth, a lot of shenanigans, but Zack Sabre Jr. was able to get the victory. Therefore, him and Taichi, the Dangerous Techers, will be able to challenge for the IWGP Tag Team titles. Titles that they've had before. So, it'll be good to see them, and they've really been going at it. This rivalry with Bullet Club and Suzuki Gun, especially with a focus on Guerrillas of Destiny and the Dangerous Techers. So I really like what they're doing with this, and I just hope they keep it up. I hope they keep it up. And then right after that, you had the other member of Gorillas of Destiny and Dangerous Techers going at it in an Iron Finger from Hell ladder match, where the whoever could scale the ladder and retrieve the Iron Finger will win the match. It was like the whole iron glove thing in a little plastic bag. It was it was weird. It was really weird how that was. But it was a good match. It was a really good match. It was back and forth. I thought it was kind of funny seeing Tamatonga with one of the smaller ladders go up on the center and try to reach it. I'm like, dang on well that ladder's too small. That thing is way up in there. You need to get a big ladder. That's what you need to get. You need to get a big ladder. But sure enough, Taichi did retrieve the Iron Finger, that weird looking iron glove, to get the match. This was at least a good 25-minute match. But definitely was entertaining. And got to see shenanigans from both sides. I mean, Jado, Doki, like, we got to see all sorts of craziness. But sure enough, Taichi was able to win the match. So, dang, both Dangerous Techers win their respective matches. And yeah, that was just really crazy. Really crazy. And then the main event of night one, the Never Openweight Championship, was on the line as the champion, the ace, Hiroshi Tanahashi, defended against Switchblade Jay White. This was a pretty dang on long match. Definitely went over the 30-minute mark. And Jay White was trying his best to submit Tanahashi. Tried his best to get him to tap out, but he would not tap out. And there was another similar time long back when Tanahashi was in that same sort of position and the ref just made the decision to stop the match, barring any further injury. But this was an intense match. This was a very intense match. Like I said, these two have been going at it for a good long while. This rivalry has been very heated. And really good build-up. Really good build-up. And unfortunately, Switchblade Jay White could not submit Hiroshi Tanahashi, but he still got the victory and was able to pin him after hitting a Blade Runner. And your new Never Openweight champion, Switchblade Jay White. And not only did he win that, he has also become a Grand Slam champion, which I believe he was saying, I don't know if this is true, maybe it is, but apparently he's the first Grand Slam champion in New Japan Pro Wrestling. So somebody correct me if I'm wrong, but apparently that's what the word is. But then when you look at it, I mean, we know he's a Grand Slam champion. Never Openweight champion. IWGP United States champion. IWGP Intercontinental champion. And IWGP Heavyweight champion. So those are the four titles. The Grand Slam, the quadruple crown champion, that is Switchblade Jay White. And it's looking like from his interview and from his press conference, maybe Dave Finlay will make it the first crack at it at the Never Openweight Championship, being that Dave Finlay did eliminate Jay White from the New Japan Cup. So something to keep an eye out. I think it would be cool. I think it would be a cool match to revisit, because like I said, Dave Finlay got one up on Switchblade, so I can understand why he would maybe want Dave Finlay to be the first to challenge for the Never Openweight Championship. So this should be good. Should be good. We'll have to see what happens, but yeah, very happy for Switchblade Jay White. I have one of his Bullet Club shirts, so definitely a fan. But yeah, so that was night one, and then night two. So unfortunately, night two, we were supposed to have the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship title match where El Desperado would defend against Yo. Unfortunately, due to apparently a few of the wrestlers tested positive for COVID, apparently they had to take that match out and another match out. So they had to kind of change up the card a little bit. So unfortunately, that match was not able to happen. But hopefully in due time, that match will happen. Because I'm very curious to see how Yo will do singles competition. Starting out, we had a 6-man tag. Zack Sabre Jr., Taichi, and Doki of Suzuki Gun went up against Bullet Club's Jado, Tangaloa, Tamatanga, the Gorillas of Destiny. And once again, Suzuki Gun over Bullet Club. Dang. Zack Sabre Jr. gets the pin. And just, dang, Gorillas of Destiny just, they are struggling. Struggling against Dangerous Techers. Pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But, yeah. Because that's 2 nights in a row. That's 2 nights in a row. Must be a bad week for Bullet Club. I mean, aside from Jay White winning the Never Openweight Championship, it must have been a bad week for Bullet Club. Next up, we had a tag team match. Master Wato and Hiroshi Tenzan versus Bone Soldier, Taiji Ishimori, and Yujiro Takahashi. Well, Taiji Ishimori, he's been having the good luck of Bullet Club, I guess you could say. Was able to get the victory for his team. And this time, actually, Master Wato took the pin, which I thought he was going to take the pin in night 1, but no, he took the pin in night 2. So, I mean, it's fair. It's fair. But it was a decent size match. Definitely a decent size match. We then had a 6-man tag match. LIJ, Sanada, Tetsuya Naito, and Bushi going up against United Empire's Jeff Cobb, Aaron Hanare, and the Great O-Khan. Of course, you know, freaking Bushi had to take the pin because he's the one that usually takes the pin for LIJ. But yeah, he ate a tour of the islands from Jeff Cobb. Oh, man. Man, I just hate when Bushi takes the pin because, you know, that's my favorite LIJ member. The mask. I love his masks. But yeah, like, you know, it was still good to see United Empire get a victory, especially after they lost in night 1. So it was good to see them bounce back and get a victory. Jeff Cobb looking strong. And then next up, we had another 6-man tag. We had Ryusuke Taguchi, Toru Yano, Hiroshi Tanahashi going up against Bullet Club's Dick Togo, Evil, and the newest Never Openweight Champion, Jay White. And oh my goodness, this was a funny match. You know, it seemed like Hiroshi Tanahashi was definitely all cool with Toru Yano's antics and low blows and stuff to help get the victory for the team. That was something I did in fact notice. which is cool, which is definitely cool. But yeah, I thought that was really funny. But yeah, Toru Yano got the victory for his team, but there was an interesting sequence afterwards. Definitely Ryusuke Taguchi wants a crack at that never openweight championship. So we'll see what happens. It looks like, two challengers. Ryusuke Taguchi and Dave Finlay could particularly be the next two challengers for Jay White's never openweight championship. And then the main event, and this was an incredible main event. And this has been quite a rivalry and definitely a matchup that has not disappointed at all. The IWGP World Heavyweight Championship is on the line as Will Ospreay defends against Shingo Takagi. And they tore the house down. Move after move after move. Both were getting very creative. And it was sick. It was a sick match. I mean, seeing Will Ospreay flip out of counters and just seeing Shingo bounce back and just hitting him harder. It was like they were trading special moves. Back and forth, trading signatures. Like, I love it. I love it. I mean, even saw Shingo get put through a table and just even Shingo, or excuse me, even Will Ospreay mocked Shingo doing his little prayer pose while he had Shingo in the Tree of Woe. I mean, it was just, they told a really good story in this match, throughout this whole match. Not just, with their in-ring skills, but just the charisma, just the taunting, the shots at each other. It was amazing. This was an epic match. But when it was all said and done, it took one Stormbreaker, and Will Ospreay retains the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. So, still, Shingo has not quite been able to get the best of Will Ospreay when it matters the most. But you best believe these two have excellent chemistry together. A clash of different styles. I mean, I know a lot of us are used to seeing, the Ricochets versus Will Ospreay, the High Flyers, Hiromu Takahashi versus Will Ospreay. But Shingo and Ospreay is definitely an instant classic. A rivalry for the memory banks. For sure. For sure. So, what a way to close out Wrestling Dontaku 2021. That was an excellent title match. And Shingo and Ospreay. Instant classic. Excellent rivalry. But yeah, that was Wrestling Dontaku. And unfortunately, Wrestle Grand Slam in Yokohama and in the Tokyo Dome, both of these shows apparently got postponed. So not canceled, but postponed. So they're in the midst of finalizing new dates for these two shows because Yokohama Stadium is a baseball stadium, I believe, and then of course the Tokyo Dome. So it looks like these are going to happen at later dates. They might end up moving this to maybe June. Because, I mean, it was previously scheduled for May 15th and the 29th. They're probably going to move it into June. Something like that. That's what I'm thinking. It's going to move into June. But then again, you got Dominion in June, so yeah, so they'll have to figure that out. But they're in the midst of finalizing dates for that, so I mean, we'll probably hear something soon. But yeah, it's probably most likely going to happen in June. But okay, that is all for New Japan Pro Wrestling. Let's get into some AEW Blood and Guts. This past Wednesday's Blood and Guts special Dynamite AEW show. Started out which was supposed to be a tag team match. Michael Nakazawa and Kenny Omega versus Eddie Kingston and Jon Moxley, which, you know, at first started off with just Michael Nakazawa just on his own, and then of course eventually Kenny Omega came in, tried to ambush. I think it was trying to ambush Eddie Kingston, but oh no! It was Omega rushed him from behind. So yeah, kind of came in a little late. Honestly, this match was kind of a letdown. I mean, it got to the point where Kenny Omega was like, bump it, left Michael Nakazawa to the Wolves. I mean, and the match was going good. The match was going good. Just the way it ended and such, just I don't know. Usually lately, their openers, AEW's opening matches usually have been really intense. But this one did not feel that way at all. And it's kind of a bummer when you have the AEW World Champion in your opening match and it's a special Blood and Guts. It really did not feel like that big of a deal. I mean, Moxley and Kingston got the victory, I mean, easily after Omega was like, bump this, I'm out. But of course, you know, eventually the Good Brothers came out, sneak attacked both Mox and Kingston, and then the Young Bucks came out. And then of course, which I think it was Nick Jackson used a shoe as a weapon. A shoe. Like, really? Of course, Kenny Omega hit a one-winged angel on Eddie Kingston. So, add insult to injury. But, not really a good opening match. With big names in this opening match, just did not end up being that good, to be honest. And just with how it ended and such, it wasn't that good of an opening match. It really wasn't. So that was my whole thing with that. You had QT Marshall against Cody Rhodes, which was actually a really good match. It was very back and forth, and I think this was one of QT Marshall's best matches. I was very impressed with this match, more than I expected. I mean, it was back and forth. Even Arn Anderson took a shot at QT Marshall. Of course, he got escorted out for that. But yeah, I have to say, like, this was back and forth, and QT, he had an excellent match. But I mean, shoot, he even kicked out of a crossroads. That's how impressive it was. But it took a figure four for QT to finally submit. But I gotta say, that was one of QT Marshall's best matches on AEW. I truly believe that. That was one of his best matches. And then, of course, you know, post-match, Anthony Ogogo, gut punch on Cody. So stupid. Really so stupid. A freaking gut punch. Yeah. So dumb. So dumb. So dumb. But backstage during an interview, Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky, Darby Allin tried to attack him, but of course the numbers game did him in, and he got tossed down a flight of stairs. I mean, not too surprised. I mean, he went at it by himself. I mean, Sting is out, so couldn't handle Page and Scorpio Sky and paid for it, getting tossed down a flight of stairs. So, oh man. Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, had a match against Julia Hart, who saw recently on, I believe it was AEW Dark. May have been Dark Elevation. But, of course, that match didn't last long. Britt Baker got the victory via the lockjaw. And it has been announced that Britt Baker will indeed finally get her title shot at Double or Nothing against Sheeta. And everything is adding up. Everything is adding up. And it's just a matter of time before Double or Nothing and Britt Baker is crowned your new AEW Women's World Champion. Like I said, it's about to happen. It's I really feel like it's definitely going to happen at Double or Nothing. You know, Sheeta has had a title run over a year, or is about to be a year. It's probably reached the year point. If it hasn't by now, it will have been a year once it reaches Double or Nothing, because technically Double or Nothing was last year was when she won the title. So, you know, it's something to keep in mind, but it's definitely time for a new champion. I love Hikaru Shida, but you know, Britt Baker's the rising female heel of AEW. I mean, she's pretty much the top heel. You know, I think it's time to give her a legit run at the title. I think it's time. You know, it didn't go too well with Nyla Rose, who's a monster heel. But I think with the title with Britt Baker, I think she can have a good, long, legitimate run. To the point where there's no telling who would be the one to dethrone her. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm excited for the match, though. Very excited for the match. You had a 4-way tag team eliminator match to determine the number one contender, or pretty much the winning team gets a tag title shot. You had SCU, you had the Acclaimed, you had Jurassic Express, and you had the Varsity Blondes. All pretty cool teams. Pretty cool tag teams. And, you know, each team got in their share of offense. It was nice. It was overall a pretty great match. Overall. But when it was all said and done, SCU hit the best Meltzer ever on Jungle Boy. Or excuse me, Pillman. Brian Pillman Jr. Got the victory. Now they have the Young Bucks. Which I knew was going to happen. I mean, you got SCU in this match. You knew it was going to happen. And apparently, they are scheduled to have their tag title match next week's Dynamite. I'm not really a fan of that. I think they should save this for Double or Nothing. Only because if they save it for Double or Nothing, it'll be a much more bigger impact when Kazarian and Christopher Daniels lose. Which I think is going to happen. On a big stage like that, I think it's going to happen. I really do. So, I think it would have been better if they had waited and booked this for Double or Nothing. But we'll see what happens next week. But I honestly don't see SCU winning. And then of course there was an interview with Kenny Omega. I know we got to see Orange Cassidy as well. So apparently, next week, we're going to have Orange Cassidy versus Pac. And the winner of this match will get a title shot against Kenny Omega at Double or Nothing. Now, Kenny Omega talked this junk to Orange Cassidy, even took off his sunglasses and put them on Michael Nakazawa, and just really was just degrading and smack talking the mess out of Orange Cassidy. And honestly, it sounds like this is going to be a prelude to Orange Cassidy defeating Pac and getting the title shot against Kenny Omega. And I love Pac. And part of me wants Pac to win. Because we have to remember, Pac also has a victory, a submission victory. If I remember correctly, a submission victory over Kenny Omega. So, I would like to see Pac get that title shot. Personally, nothing against Orange Cassidy. Personally, I would like to see Pac get the shot first, being that he owns a victory over Kenny Omega. So, I mean, that's just my thoughts. Miro wants a shot at the TNT Championship held by Darby Allin. He had a contract and everything, and it looks like it's on for next week. So TNT title on the line. Miro gets his title shot. Something tells me Kip Sabian might try to interfere, but maybe not. I don't know. But I don't know. I just kind of have a weird feeling, but I could be wrong. I mean, Darby Allin's been kind of on a roll. Maybe this is Miro's time. And then of course the main event was the Blood and Guts match, which is pretty much similar to War Games. It was pretty much War Games. The Pinnacle versus the Inner Circle. There was some good and there was some bad with this match. So starting off, it was Sammy Guevara and Dax Harwood. Now, of course, the Inner Circle agreed that, mainly Sammy Guevara agreed that he'd be willing to start out first, and he automatically gave Pinnacle the advantage, meaning they get the first partner to come in first. So it started off with Dax Harwood and Sammy Guevara, and then it went from that. Shawn Spears came in, then Ortiz came in, then Cash Wheeler came in, then Santana, then Wardlow, then Jake Hager, then MJF, then Chris Jericho was the last to enter. Now, of course, once all 10 men are in, then the match officially starts. And apparently the only way that you could win is by submission victory or by surrendering. Those are the only two ways this match can be won. And it was brutal. It was bloody. It was graphic. It was all over the place. And I got to give shout outs to Santana and Ortiz with the dead president's face paint. Like from the movie, they were all dressed up in penitentiary outfits, and Santana and Ortiz had the dead president's face paint. I thought that was pretty cool. I thought that was really cool. I know there's been a lot of good and bad and a lot of buzz behind this match. A lot of people don't agree with the outcome, which I can kind of understand their point. It just really seemed like there was a point where the Inner Circle was just dominating, and MJF was at his tender mercies, And then it just got to the point where Wardlow was just annihilating everybody, despite Inner Circle being in control for, most of the rest remaining of that match, especially after Chris Jericho got in. Um, but it was very brutal. Sammy Guevara, I got to give a lot of credit to. Dude was bouncing all over the place, did springboard attacks, did a really cool middle rope springboard Spanish fly. I thought that was really cool. And dude was just flying all over the place. I really liked Sammy Guevara in this match. The face-to-face showdown with Jake Hager and Wardlow was really cool. It was very brutal. The ring got exposed, and we got to see double pile drivers, or double spike pile drivers, onto the exposed wood. So that was really cool. And then it got to the point where Tully Blanchard was able to get the key and to get the cage door open, and MJF was able to escape and get on top of the cage. Of course, Jericho was able to go in pursuit, and it seemed like Jericho had the momentum, locked him in the lion tamer, but MJF was able to get the low blow on Jericho, and then that pretty much sealed the deal. Had the diamond ring, hit him with the diamond ring, and pretty much Jericho was, couldn't defend himself. And then it got to the point where, MJF was threatening to toss Jericho off of the cage unless the Inner Circle surrendered. And sure enough, Sammy Guevara gave the surrender order, therefore claiming victory for the Pinnacle. But of course, MJF ended up shoving Chris Jericho off the top of the cage anyway, and fell through the AEW logo metal plating, which of course had padding under it. When Jericho landed, you could see the exposed padding. Not to mention, there was a moment where the camera was on Jericho, and you could see he was kind of smirking, and he was kind of, blinking. He was like kind of checking to make sure, to show that he was okay and such and such. They kept cutting the camera on him a bunch with his face just looking like that. It just didn't seem like, in the moment. But I don't know. I didn't necessarily have too much of a problem with that happening, but just, with that supposed to be metal, and then, it exposes the padding under it on his landing. I mean, it kind of killed the effect, because it doesn't really compare to when, like, Mick Foley got thrown off the cage. You know what I mean? It doesn't really compare. So that's the only thing with that. I get how some people feel about the match. I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of neutral about it. I mean, MJF, I mean, they're still going to have him as a big name heel. A continuous rising star who is a good wrestler in the ring. And I feel like this was the Pinnacle's big victory, especially after the Inner Circle returned at full force. And, they've kind of had the upper hand recently, especially after getting their locker room back. So, I mean, a lot of people are saying maybe Inner Circle should have won this, but, I mean, I'm okay with the outcome. I'm neutral about it, but I figured Pinnacle got the win because, they needed to be, the up and rising faction to get a big win. But in the middle segments of the match, and up to the point before Jericho and MJF were on the cage, it looked like Inner Circle was dominating. So it just really kind of makes it hard to believe they would lose this match. But you know, I was okay with it. Overall, I was okay with it. But overall, Blood and Guts was all right. But that opening match could have been so much better. It could have been so much better. But Blood and Guts was all right. It was all right. Blood and Guts was all right. And of course, one of the big announcements they made was that Jon Moxley will be defending the IWGP United States Championship against Japanese legend Yuji Nagata on AEW Dynamite next week. So, definitely looking forward to that. That should be really cool. Really, really cool. Okay, and then finish the evening with some WWE. Oh my goodness. To be honest with y'all, WrestleMania Backlash might as well partly be changed to WWE Triple Threat. There might as well be a pay-per-view called Triple Threat. Because now we got... So for both the WWE Championship and the Raw Women's Championship will now be decided under triple threats. It's really crazy. But I'll get to that in a second. So AJ Styles and Omos return finally, and you know they beat the New Day. Here's the weird thing. So word is the reason for their absence was so that Omos could get more training. So that Omos could get more training. If that is such the case where Omos still needs training, WWE, Vince McMahon, why the heck did you put a championship on Omos? There was no need for him to have a championship if the dude is still training, still working, and getting better in the ring. But at the end of the day, we know what the real reason is, so that AJ Styles could be deemed a Grand Slam champion. That's really the only reason this happened. But it's like, it's really dumb because all that's going to happen and with the tag champs now is the matches are going to be AJ is going to get pummeled for most of the match. Then Omos is going to come in and wreck everybody. AJ Styles gets the phenomenal forearm or the last move. Pin, 1, 2, 3. Still champs. That's all that's really going to happen going forward with their tag title run. And it's just stupid. How the heck do you put a championship on somebody that's still in training? Why? It's so dumb. It's really dumb. And then Charlotte Flair beats Dana Brooke. Pretty much campaigns to be added to the Raw Women's Championship match. And of course, sure enough, Sonya Deville makes it happen. And now, the Raw Women's Championship match at WrestleMania Backlash is now a triple threat. Rhea will defend against both Asuka and Charlotte Flair. And this was something that I knew was going to happen weeks ago once Charlotte was inserted back into the picture. And honestly, Rhea Ripley's title is in danger. Because who's to say I mean, remember, Charlotte wasn't at WrestleMania. So who's to say that Charlotte won't get the title and become 14-time women's champion? Who's there's no guarantee that that won't happen. That's the sad thing about it. You put Charlotte into the picture, everybody's in danger. Because Charlotte Flair is Vince's golden blonde bombshell. And that's not to take anything away from Charlotte Flair as the wrestler. She's a great wrestler, great athlete, but is shoved down our throats. Plain and simple as that. So yeah, triple threat. Damian Priest beat John Morrison. Not surprised. Really, I miss John Morrison that used to wow and used to dominate. I miss that John Morrison. They need to bring that John Morrison back. But something tells me Miz and Morrison are going to be split at some point. And then again, the Miz kind of cost him the match. So something tells me they're going to split at some point. It's a matter of time. But yeah. Lucha House Party had a tag team match against Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin, and not a single one of those two tag teams got entrances. Came back for commercial right into the beginning of that match. Not a single one of those tag teams got entrances. So ridiculous. Lucha House Party wins. Cedric gets on the mic. We're done as a tag team. And leaves Shelton Benjamin. He's done. And another tag team split. Shelton Benjamin gave his thoughts as well backstage, but thanks a lot, Vince McMahon, for ruining the Hurt Business. You had an epic stable, strong stable, and you completely ruined it. Cedric and Shelton back to a jobber tag team, and now split. And probably will be back to jobber class as singles wrestlers. Had something special and epic in the Hurt Business, and they just obliterated the Hurt Business. It's really ridiculous. Angel Garza had a match with Drew Gulak, and honestly, I thought this was probably the funniest out of the whole show. Angel Garza made good on his promise. Not only did he beat Drew Gulak, but he took that rose and put it down Drew Gulak's trunks, and he kicked that rose up where the sun don't shine. He made good on his promise. He made good on his promise, and it was excellent. That was probably the best segment. That was the best segment of this show. It made me laugh. It definitely made me laugh. So, yeah. Randy Orton and Matt Riddle defeated Jackson Riker and Elias. RK Bro, now 2-0. So, yeah, it's pretty safe to say. And, of course, earlier, Randy Orton got tomatoes thrown at him by Jackson Riker and Elias, which they were meaning to throw them at New Day, but that didn't happen. But other than that, RK Bro, 2-0. And it looks like Randy Orton is pretty much just about solidified as a face. Yeah. And the funny thing about that, I saw this on Twitter, but apparently that match was the 420th match uh for Randy Orton. I think on Raw, I think they said was the 420th match of Randy Orton on Raw. I could be wrong, but yeah, that's crazy. Especially teamed up with Matt Riddle and yeah. Um so two superstars that they announced. One, signed to Raw, coming to Raw. One was Mansoor. Mansoor is now a Raw superstar. Y'all know Mansoor, pretty much undefeated on 205, undefeated at the Saudi Arabia shows. Yeah, good wrestler. I will say that. He's a good wrestler. But, I mean, he had a match with Sheamus, ended in disqualification because Humberto Carrillo interfered. And of course, that didn't last long, as both Humberto and Mansoor get bro kicked by Sheamus, the United States champion. Like they still can't even give Humberto Carrillo a match. They still can't even do that. It's ridiculous. And when you think about it, technically, that's Mansoor's first loss, because Sheamus won by disqualification because Humberto Carrillo attacked him. So there you go. His first match is a loss by DQ. Isn't that sad? And then they showed a promo video vignette of Eva Marie on top of a Ferrari. Evolution is coming. The return of Eva Marie. Which I apparently found out that she had been signed months ago. Eva Marie. Pretty much Maurice 2.0. Let me get this straight. So, WWE, you release the Iconics, you release Chelsea Green, you release Mickie James, you release Samoa Joe. And you bring back Eva Marie. If that's not a big, gigantic slap to the WWE Women's Division, I don't know what is. You had a gem in the Iconics. You had a up and coming Chelsea Green that was about to make her comeback from injury. All she needed was a fair shot. You have Mickie James. Mickie James, an icon, a legend in the WWE Women's Division, who will still give you great matches even at over 40 years of age. Still looks great. Still able to roll with the Shayna Baszlers and the Asukas and whoever you want to put in front of her. Mickie James can still hang with. Zelina Vega, who was a great manager by the side of Andrade and Angel Garza. You had something special there. And Zelina Vega's actually pretty decent in the ring as well, aka Thea Trinidad. I mean, Aleister Black is her husband, for crying out loud. So she gets good training even from him. Y'all release those folks, those female talent. You release them and you bring back Eva Marie. If that's not the biggest insult to the WWE Women's Division, I don't know. I don't know what is. I don't know how much lower you can get than to cut all those superstars and you bring back Eva Marie, who can't act, who can't wrestle, and is just a pretty face. Yeah. 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 Moving on. Moving on before I get angry. Um the women's tag team titles were on the line as Naomi and Lana got a tag title shot against Shayna and Nia. And of course, due to distraction from Reginald, Shayna was able to tap out Lana. Naomi was pretty upset about it backstage. So I don't know if this is going to lead to them splitting or what. I don't know, but it's funny. Nia and Shayna can lose like 10 non-title matches, 10 singles matches, but then will win when the title's on the line. It's crazy. It's crazy, but hey, those are your champions. Those are your champions. Then main event, Braun Strowman, Bobby Lashley. Bobby Lashley got the victory, but Drew McIntyre had the last laugh, taking out both Braun and Bobby Lashley with Claymore kicks. And of course, I know they had another Alexa's Playground segment. Honestly, I don't know what they're gonna build up to with that. I mean, we hadn't seen Bray Wyatt, the Fiend, but the one time after WrestleMania, we haven't seen him since, and it's just been Alexa's Playground, and she hasn't been out to the ring or anything like that. It's just been her and Lily, so there's no telling what's gonna go on with that. But I don't know. It's whatever. NXT. Like I said, NXT this week was a great show. I thought it was a really great show. Um, Started out with Leon Ruff versus Swerve. Falls Count Anywhere match, and I tell you, this match started off. This was a bang. Leon Ruff tried to charge in at Swerve and just ate a knee, just like that. It was so cool. It was so cool. But these two are back and forth, and I just tell you, like, these two have great chemistry in the ring together. I mean, what an opening match between Swerve and Leon Ruff. And, it got to the point where it looked like Leon Ruff was going to do it, was going to take out Swerve, but then Swerve's crew, which I believe this was his podcast crew, I believe. Big Man took out Leon Ruff, and Swerve was able to get the victory. But that was quite a match. Um, but yeah, it was his. Yeah, if I remember correctly. Oh, so it was so looking at this, former defensive lineman AJ Francis. So that's who that was, apparently. Brianna, and you had Brandy, and of course Ashanti the Adonis, who wrestled quite a bit on 205 Live, as well as main event. So that's who that was. AJ Francis. Apparently he's a performance center recruit, but apparently played a defensive lineman in the NFL. I didn't even know that's who that was. I thought it was Swerve's like podcast crew or studio rap crew. I didn't know who that was, but nah, that's AJ Francis. Didn't know that. So, but yeah, pretty much helped Swerve get the victory. But that was a great opening match, excellent opening match between Swerve and Leon Ruff. These two have great chemistry together. Um, we had Cameron Grimes versus Asher Hale, which Asher Hale is actually Anthony Henry from Evolve. I actually got a chance to see Anthony Henry twice in Evolve. Once he went up against Austin Theory, which was a great match. And then second was in the main event where he went up against JD Drake. It was pretty much it was like a Carolina street fight. And oh man, that was such a great match. It was all over the place. But yeah, Anthony Henry, I hope he does well on NXT. But yeah, he's Asher Hale, but I hope he does well on NXT. I like him. Anthony Henry, I thought was really cool seeing him live at Evolve. So I really hope that he can grow into a big star on NXT. And I'm still waiting to see what's his face? Josh Briggs. Because he was also on the Performance Center as well. So I really hope to see Josh Briggs. I want to see Josh Briggs so badly. Like, I met him in person, got to see him in Evolve. Josh Briggs is a real deal. So I really hope to see him finally debut in NXT as well. But anyway, great match between Cameron Grimes and Asher Hale. Of course, Cameron Grimes was able to get the cave in. A decent match. It was actually a decent match. But Cameron Grimes with the victory. And then we got to see Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher in tag team action going against the grizzled young veterans. And if anything, it was just good to see them back in the ring. And grizzled young veterans, still doing their thing, which, I'm not a fan of that team. So I was actually enjoying seeing them get slaughtered. And then sure enough, I'm sorry, Timothy Thatcher, Toothless Timmy, was able to get that Fujiwara armbar cinched in and was able to get the victory, the submission victory for his team. And kind of sets back Grizzled Young Veterans quite a little bit. But, I mean, he had that armbar on Zach Gibson. He had it in deep. Had it in really deep. So, yeah, Toothless Timmy and Tommaso Ciampa, that tag team is still going strong. But yeah, it was just good to see them back in action. We had a segment with Karrion Kross. He came out to the ring, gave a promo, like I said, which also sounded very face-like promo. And Kyle O'Reilly came in, which, by the way, Kyle O'Reilly had on an Easy E shirt, which I thought that was pretty neat. Came out, greeted Scarlett, got on the mic for a bit. We also got Pete Dunne that came out. And then, of course, Finn Balor came out, and, of course, he ended up striking first. And then it was just chaos in the ring. Everybody wanted to get some of Karrion Kross and each other. And then, Karrion Kross was fighting off everybody, for a good bit. But then it was Gargano and Austin Theory that was able to take out Karrion Kross. It took quite a number of attempts, but they were able to take out Karrion Kross, lay him out. So So yeah, that was a pretty interesting sequence, but I think it's going to lead to some way somehow we're going to get some sort of match to determine the new number one contender, and I'm sure it's going to involve Finn Balor, Pete Dunne, and Kyle O'Reilly. And let's not forget about Adam Cole. Some way somehow he's going to insert himself into the picture as well. So I think that's what they're probably going to end up doing to determine the next number one contender for Karrion Kross's NXT title. Um, we got another really good match that took place. Like I said, this card was great for this week's NXT. Zeta Ramir, who recently defeated Tony Storm, took on Saray. So this was a good match. This was a really good match, but man, Zeta ate some drop kicks like crazy. She must have ate like 5 drop kicks from Saray, and apparently her drop kicks are pinpoint. I remember seeing the drop kick she hit with Zeta Ramir up on the ropes. I mean, man, she ate that drop kick. But hey, that's Saray's strong style. Don't let the size fool you. She's a strong style extraordinaire, and she's got some dangerous drop kicks. But yeah, this was back and forth. I mean, it didn't really feel one sided. You know, Zeta Ramir was able to mount some offense, and you know, this was a good match. This was a really good match. But sure enough, Saray was able to hit that twisting Uranagi on Zeta Ramir and was able to pick up the victory. So Saray 2-0 since her debut, and sign of respect, of course, to both Zeta Ramir and even Zoe Stark, who kept Tony Storm from attacking Zeta Ramir backstage. So I thought that was pretty cool. But you know, of course, Tony Storm had a promo as well, and like I said, it's definitely not over between her and Zoe Stark. So we'll have to see what they do next with the storyline. But great match. Zeta Ramir, you know, up and rising star. Saray recently made her debut. This was nice. This was definitely nice. And I know a lot of people are saying, you know, with Saray, you know, I've been seeing a lot of the comments. A lot of folks want to see Io Shirai and Saray team up. You know, or see Io Shirai and Saray face each other. You know, but from the most part, I'm hearing, you know, that fans want to see Io and Saray team up and go for the tag titles, which it's not impossible, but I don't know if you want to pull that trigger too soon. You know, let's wait. Let's wait until Io Shirai gets back, because I'm sure she's gonna want another crack at the NXT Women's Championship. You know, whether she gets like a straight up rematch upon return, or I don't know if they're gonna have her feud with Taya Valkyrie. But I mean, we'll see what happens when she gets back. I assume Io is taking some time off, well deserved time off. But we'll see what happens. Right now, the spotlight is on Saray, but Saray and Io tag team, I could see it happening. Maybe I could see it happening, but we'll see. We'll see. We had LA Knight versus Jake Atlas. It was a pretty good match. I wish it could have been longer. Wish it could have been a little longer, but LA Knight was able to get that victory. Um, I do hope to see Jake Atlas in more matches as well. Jake Atlas, he's a good wrestler. I mean, he's impressed me. He's definitely impressed me. But I just wish this match could have been longer. Um, and Legado del Fantasma, they did a promo out in the ring, and it looks like we're gonna get a title match, a cruiserweight title match, Kushida and Santos Escobar, which apparently is next week, and it will be a 2 out of 3 falls match. So 2 out of 3 falls. This will be interesting. I'm pretty sure Walking Wild and Raul Mendoza will probably get involved, and probably MSK will get involved as well. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. But I think Kushida is going to retain anyway. And then we had the main event. And boy, what a main event this was. The NXT Women's Tag Team Championships were on the line in a street fight as the champs Ember Moon and Shotzi Blackheart, who didn't come out in the tank because of I'm sorry, Taya Valkyrie, because I refuse to say that name. Taya Valkyrie's dog they found on Shotzi's tank, and the dog left a few surprises in the seat, in the driver's seat of the tank. So that might have been an omen, a bad omen, because they didn't come out during their entrance in the tank, unfortunately. But they defended the titles against the Ways, Candice LeRae, and impressive Indy Hartwell. And I say, this was an intense match. Shout out to Shotzi Blackheart sporting the Freddy Krueger gear. You know, it had the Freddy Krueger glove, the red and olive green striped shirt. Like, of course, she's a big horror movie fan, so it's understandable. But these ladies tore the roof off. I mean, we saw tables, trash cans, chairs, fire extinguishers. Like, there was an incredible spot with Shotzi diving from one of the metal pillars onto Indy Hartwell through the announce table. I mean, that was incredible. Indy Hartwell with a springboard elbow drop through the table with Ember Moon. There was even a segment where Candice LeRae, I believe, Shotzi hit Candice LeRae with the falling senton on top of the ladder. It cracked. It didn't break all the way through, but it cracked. But these ladies, wow, they put on an impressive main event. It was a very, very great main event. And when it was all said and done, after Indy took out Ember, Candice LeRae finished off Shotzi with a wicked stepsister onto a chair. And we have new NXT Women's Tag Team Champions in Candice LeRae and Indy Hartwell. Both superstars. First championship in WWE history. Because remember, Candice LeRae has been in title matches for the NXT Women's Championship, but could never get that victory. And Indy Hartwell's, still up and coming in NXT, and, she joined the way. But both these ladies finally get a championship. And Candice, like I said, she was long overdue. I mean, I know a lot of people like to pick on her for her size, that maybe that's why she hasn't really gotten her moment. But, I mean, she's not really that much shorter than Io Shirai. But, Io Shirai, I mean, world class, world known. And Candice is not far from it. We got to remember, Candice LeRae has wrestled men. Joey Ryan, Johnny Gargano, Cedric Alexander. She can wrestle men. It doesn't even matter. We got to remember, Candice LeRae is a legit, excellent wrestler who's been in the business a long time, especially in the indies. So Candice LeRae is no slouch. So her getting a title was long overdue. And Indy Hartwell, has indie experience, Shimmer, things like that. So I'm happy. I'm actually happy for these two ladies. They finally got the tag titles. Johnny Gargano's got the North American title. Who knows? We'll see what happens with Austin Theory. Maybe he can go after the Cruiserweight title. We'll see what happens. But congratulations to Candice and Indy. And even to Shotzi and Ember. That was a great main event. NXT had a great show this week. No doubt about that. NXT had a great show. Um, NXT UK. Um, Not a whole lot happened. Um, it was okay. I mean, you had Ilya Dragunov versus Dave Mastiff, which didn't last long. It ended via referee stoppage because apparently, it looks like Ilya Dragunov broke Dave Mastiff's nose. I think from like a punch or a forearm or something like that. But yeah, there was a referee stoppage, but it looked like he broke his nose. So yeah. Um, we had the Supernova sessions with Noam Dar. Nathan Frazier was on there. A challenge was made. Noam Dar versus Nathan Frazier. Heritage Cup rules. So there's that. Trent Seven and Saxon Huxley had a good match. Um, Sam Gradwell tried to interfere on the uh, Titantron, but didn't stop Trent Seven from getting the victory via a 7-star lariat to seal the deal. But this was a great match. I like Trent Seven. Of course, I like Mustache Mountain with Tyler Bate. So, Trent Seven's still holding his own in singles competition as well as Tyler Bate, which they did a promo vignette build up for Tyler Bate versus A Kid for the Heritage Cup, which both competitors have a win over each other. So a lot of history between Tyler Bate and A Kid, and I have no doubt that they won't disappoint in the rubber match for the Heritage Cup. Um, and then we had Kenny. The main event was Kenny Williams versus Amir Jordan in a no disqualification match, where the loser has to leave NXT UK. Um, it was back and forth, and of course, there was a segment where um, Kenny Williams was taunting the mess out of Amir Jordan in the corner. Um, there were some good spots. There were some really good spots. And ultimately, Kenny Williams was able to send Amir Jordan packing. Got the victory, and now Amir Jordan has to leave NXT UK. Um, but hey, something tells me he'll probably show up in 205 Live or something like that. You know, maybe NXT. You know, so I don't think it's over for Amir Jordan. I hope not, but who knows? We might see him in 205 Live or NXT or regular NXT. We'll see. But seems like that rivalry is over. Amir Jordan's gone. Kenny Williams wins the rivalry. And then we had SmackDown, the retro edition of SmackDown. It was okay. Jimmy Uso returned, reunited with Jay and cousin Roman Reigns. So I mean that was pretty cool. Cesaro came out, got ambushed by Seth Rollins, and of course they had a match where if Cesaro wins, he gets a title shot at WrestleMania Backlash against Roman Reigns, which, despite interference from Jimmy and Jay, and them trying to help out Seth Rollins, who Seth Rollins didn't want help. Seth Rollins ended up losing, eating a neutralizer, and he is booked. He has a date with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania Backlash for the title. So I mean, I definitely can dig that. I definitely can dig that. Looking forward to that match. Um, Carmella went up against Ruby Riot, made her tap out to the Code of Silence. It's kind of sad. It's been a while since I've seen the Riot Squad, and then they come back, and Ruby takes an L. Not a fan. And throughout the show, there were a lot of flashbacks to past SmackDown shows. For example, the first ever SmackDown, Stone Cold versus The Rock. Shawn Michaels is a special guest referee. Costed The Rock the match, super kicked him. We had the segment of when Edge and Hulk Hogan won the tag titles, when Brock Lesnar suplexed the Big Show and the whole ring caved in. Um, yeah, a lot of different segments, a lot of different ones. So it was pretty neat. They even had classic commercials as well. Arnold Schwarzenegger beating the mess out of Triple H and sharing a beer with Stone Cold Steve Austin. So yeah, those are all pretty cool. Um, had a segment with Bailey and Bianca Belair, um, which of course these two will face each other for the SmackDown Women's Title at WrestleMania Backlash. This will be Bianca's first title defense since winning at WrestleMania, and you know, Bailey, did a flashback of some of the past SmackDown champions, and then there's a segment with Bianca Belair. They exchange words. Then it bursted into a brawl, which at the end of the day, Bailey got the upper hand and put Bianca Belair into the ground. So I didn't like that she stepped on her hair, her long ponytail. That was kind of jacked up. But that's Bailey for you. That's Lowrider for you. Um, we were supposed to have Rey Mysterio versus Dolph Ziggler, but Dolph Ziggler talked so much smack to Dominic that Dominic's like, you know what, Dad? You sit this out. I want Dolph Ziggler. Let me take your place. Let me take your place. And the referee allowed it. Rey Mysterio allowed it. And the match we had, and sure enough, Dominic Mysterio, with that small package roll-up pin, was able to get the victory over Mr. Ziggles. That's what you get for talking so much smack. But we all know that they have a tag title shot at WrestleMania Backlash, the Mysterio family, so we know that. And I know we had a segment where Jimmy Uso's been trying to talk sense into Jey Uso. Like, look, you're Roman Reigns' lapdog. He don't care about you. He's using you in order to stay at the top. Let's ditch him. Let's do what we do best and win the tag titles. Let's represent our family and win the tag titles. That's what they were trying to do. We had a 10-man tag team match, which got pretty chaotic. It was Apollo Crews, the Intercontinental Champion. It was Alpha Academy. It was King Corbin. And it was Sami Zayn going up against Kevin Owens, Big E, the Street Profits, and Shinsuke Nakamura. The match was pretty chaotic, but the only thing I just didn't like was the fact that King Corbin got the pin on Shinsuke Nakamura. That was... poor Shinsuke. He should really be vying for the Universal title against Roman Reigns, but yeah, that ain't gonna happen anytime soon. But final segment with the Usos and Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman and just Jimmy, pretty much trying to talk sense into Roman and into Jey Uso, and just would not acknowledge him as the tribal chief, and just was going to walk away. Jey Uso tried to come back and stop him, And then the big ambush from Cesaro from behind on Roman Reigns. Jay tried to help. He got taken out. Jimmy was hesitant, but then he tried to help, got taken out. And Cesaro reigned supreme in the ring, pretty much taking out the whole entire family. Quite a lot of momentum to end the show on, that's for sure. But if anything, I was just happy to see the Usos are back. Jimmy's back. It looks like he's cleared. He's back. So I wonder how this is going to go. Something tells me they might split them up, split the brothers, turn on each other. I hope not. But I want to see them turn on Roman, but it's probably not going to happen. But we'll see. We'll see. But anyway, that pretty much wraps up this edition of Pro Wrestling Talk. Like I said, this was a pretty good week. You know, Blood and Guts was all right. WWE NXT was excellent. We had Wrestling Dontaku, the New Japan Pro Wrestling. But yeah, overall, this was a pretty good week. This was a pretty good week. And of course, next week is the go home week for WWE as they get prepared for WrestleMania Backlash. But yeah, should be hopefully it'll be good. I'm not gonna hold my breath, but hopefully NXT can follow up after this week's great show. And also one more thing I want to say. You know what rivalry I would love to see start? Why not have Xia Li versus Saray? I think that would be a nice storyline to start Saray off with. Her versus Xia Li. I think that could go back and forth. I'd be cool with that. What do y'all think? What do y'all think about this week and any of the big things that have happened in the pro wrestling world? Do share. Do share what y'all been into lately. But don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, click the notification bell so you don't miss any video. And just thank you so much for watching and for hanging out with me tonight. This is Blitzball Champ Jason Ingram signing off for another edition of Pro Wrestling Talk. Hope everybody has a blessed weekend, and for all the ladies out there, the mothers, the grandmothers, the aunts, the great aunts, all of the above. Happy Mother's Day to you, and God bless you. Take care and enjoy. Salute.